don't trust nobody. In Hollywood, specifically, when you get there, a lot of people don't know how to say no. That's the difference between New York City and California.
This is what I look for. When I see a success, I'm looking for anything
to say that they didn't do it on their own?
Detain it.
For years, there's been quiet tension between Jay-Z and 50 Cent, but now it seems things are reaching a breaking point. According to multiple industry sources, the long-rumored documentary 50 Cent has been working on is not only real, but almost complete. It's said to be a streaming-ready project that pulls together decades of stories, past conflicts, and behind-the-scenes accounts. The surprising twist? Reports suggest Jay-Z is preparing legal action to stop the film from ever being released, not just to respond afterward, but to block it entirely. That step alone raises the stakes, turning this into more than just a personal disagreement. It's now a battle over who shapes the story, the image, and the
documentary. I think a lot of people thought that he was just joking around. It turns out he's not. So this is actually a real project that's being made under his G-Unit.
Word in the industry is that 50 Cent's documentary originally set its sights on Diddy and his ongoing legal troubles. But along the way, the focus shifted toward Jay-Z. Part of that shift comes from the Rhymer paternity story, part from their complicated past, and part from what 50 reportedly found during his research. Sources now say the film won't just touch on Rhymer's claims. An industry insider reveals that several other people who believe they have family ties to Jay-Z are prepared to speak on camera.
He took them to some apartment building, and they did what they did in there. Talked a little bit, had a good time, party, and I guess I can't fully talk as my mom because I'm not my mom. I'm just telling you guys what she told me. It was just, and I honestly just believe it. It's just no doubt.
There's also long-running talk in industry circles about quiet settlements, carefully handled and tightly controlled. People close to the situation claim Jay-Z's team has, for years, acted quickly to address certain claims before they became public. These actions allegedly involved payments, non-disclosure agreements, and sealed court files, all aimed at keeping potential controversies contained. Up to now, those rumors have never gained much public traction. But this time, 50 Cent reportedly has the funding, legal backing, and platform to present them on screen, complete with court records and first-hand accounts. For any PR team.
So that's just competitive.
Competitiveness.
All right, so you and Diddy, you and Puff cool?
No, I don't really rock with him.
Okay,
like that.
damn, all right. I didn't know what that meant.
Okay.
All right, okay.
The history between Jay-Z and 50 Cent brings extra attention to the story. For decades, they've crossed paths, trading verses, appearing on the same stages, and occasionally clashing. They've never been close. 50 Cent has openly described their relationship as strictly business. Lately, though, his remarks have become sharper and more direct, often aimed at Jay-Z's legal challenges. From deleted posts poking fun at red carpet appearances to jokes about how the allegations could affect a potential Super Bowl halftime show, the tone has shifted. This isn't casual banter anymore. It's a steady build-up.
But after that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his nefarious.
One of the most talked about rumors around the project is that 50 Cent may have gathered not only interviews and evidence related to Rhymer and the alleged additional children, but also material about the systems said to have shielded both Jay-Z and Diddy over the years. Former associates hint at private meetings where settlements were arranged, calls made to media executives to keep stories from running, and pressure placed on people who considered going public. There's no official confirmation from Jay-Z's team or his label, but even the idea that such accounts could be shaped into a polished, streaming-ready documentary has entertainment lawyers preparing for long hours. Some insiders claim the more Jay-Z works to block the release, the more interest it generates from streaming platforms. In today's media world, the harder it is to see something, the more people want to watch it. If the film includes appearances from those alleged family members, supported by timelines, photos, or written exchanges, the narrative could shift from speculation to something far.
Jay-Z got his whooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange. You got it. The feds ain't step in and do nothing. The fans don't care about you getting your ass whooped.
It's impossible to ignore how this overlaps with Jay-Z's long-standing connection to Diddy. Over the years, their relationship has been described in interviews as a brotherhood, built on strategy, mutual support, and shared success. They've celebrated together on stage and at high-profile events, often seen as partners at the very top of the industry. Now, both are named in serious legal complaints, with Diddy facing a wave of separate criminal charges. Jay-Z's public silence on his friend's troubles has already been a target for 50 Cent, who's used memes and on-air comments to portray him as absent from the conversation. If the documentary presents their stories as intertwined, that silence could become even harder to justify. And when it comes to the alleged additional children, their involvement brings questions that go far beyond gossip. If they share consistent accounts, details about where they were born, who their mothers are, and how contact was made or avoided, it could suggest a long-running pattern of keeping certain truths out of the public eye. Even without court-verified confirmation, the emotional impact of multiple people telling similar stories could sway public opinion quickly. In today's world, where reputation drives partnerships and business deals, that shift could directly affect brand value and challenge the carefully maintained image of an untouchable mogul.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
According to insiders, some of the people involved have been in quiet discussions with media outlets for years, but never had the security or platform to go public. They say 50 Cent's team has now provided both, along with the promise of reaching millions of viewers. This isn't only about making allegations. It's about how the story is presented and how far it can travel. If the documentary pairs these accounts with carefully chosen archival footage, set against Jay-Z's own lyrics and public statements, the contrast alone could have a powerful impact.
Weirdo. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me. Ever.
With lawyers reportedly preparing motions to block the release, time is running short. Every day that passes opens the door for leaks, counter-messages, or strategic teasers from 50 Cent's side to keep the topic alive. The harder the effort to shut it down, the more media attention it seems to attract, a cycle that's difficult to stop once it begins. The bigger risk is that trying to suppress the story could turn it into one of the most talked-about pop culture events of the year. Adding to the tension is Jay-Z's long and highly visible connection to Diddy. For decades, their friendship was framed as a symbol of unity and shared success. Now, with Diddy facing a wave of serious charges, that bond risks being seen as a liability.
Puffy, why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup.
The once celebrated white parties, long seen as symbols of glamour and influence, have now become a recurring topic in behind-the-scenes conversations. Industry veterans have hinted for years that what happened behind those closed gates wasn't always what it seemed. There are whispers of guests who appeared far younger than expected.
See, there's no artist, let me be clear, there's no artist in this industry that's doing major numbers with these platforms that haven't sold their songs.
For decades, Jay-Z has been more than a recording artist. He's shaped himself into a symbol of dominance in the music industry. His journey from performer to self-made mogul is woven into the fabric of pop culture. But a legacy like that doesn't just happen. It's built piece by piece, with careful attention to how every move is perceived. When someone becomes a brand, every detail, from a photo to a casual lyric, is weighed against one question: does this build the image or weaken it? In that light, efforts to block uncomfortable stories aren't just about legal maneuvering. They're about protecting identity and legacy at the deepest level. The pressure of maintaining that image is constant. In the public eye, a single misstep can overshadow decades of achievement. For someone at the very top of hip-hop's hierarchy, the fear isn't simply embarrassment. It's the risk of unraveling an empire whose value depends on being seen as untouchable. The brand may be worth billions, but it's built on trust. Trust from fans, corporate partners, and the cultural voices who decide who remains a legend and who fades into the background.
Now, he, of course, is more than annoyed, would be an understatement.
Yeah.
He has a family and he has a lot to protect, including his brand. But to the extent that he's saying, hey, come after me criminally, that could be likely. Why do I say that? Because in New York, and what's alleged in this complaint is forcible compulsion. What that means in English is that it's saying that he held her down.
This is where the psychology of secrecy runs deep. When someone has spent years avoiding the shadows of their past, the instinct to keep shutting doors becomes automatic. Every rumor feels like a threat, every unfavorable story like a possible turning point. Even if the facts are harmless, simply existing outside the carefully shaped public image can make them feel dangerous. Over time, those defensive habits can evolve into something more, an outright refusal to let anyone see behind the curtain, no matter the cost. There's also the personal side to consider, the private self without the polish. Constantly maintaining a flawless public persona can take a heavy toll, creating a state of watchfulness that blurs the line between caution and paranoia. In that mindset, blocking a documentary, quieting allegations, or navigating around legal demands isn't just a strategy. It becomes an act of survival. It's driven by the belief that if the walls are kept high enough, the outside world will never get close enough to rewrite the story you've worked so hard to control.
And we may actually see one of the biggest divorces in Hollywood is because Jay-Z is up next to be exposed.
Seen from this perspective, the fight over the upcoming documentary isn't just about specific claims or isolated incidents. It's the result of a lifetime spent protecting an identity that has become both a crown and a cage. With pressure building from legal, personal, and public fronts, the question becomes, is this determination to guard the image a sign of hidden truths, or simply the instinct of someone who knows that even the smallest crack could threaten the empire he's built? Beyoncé's role in all of this can't be overlooked. She has her own global brand, one built on discipline, artistry, and an almost unmatched level of control. Yet behind the scenes, the strain on the Carter household must be intense. One industry source claims she has been working with a crisis management team, weighing every statement, appearance, and move. Another suggests she's conflicted, loyal to her husband, but aware of the potential impact on her own legacy if the situation escalates. Some speculate she may be encouraging Jay-Z to quietly resolve the paternity matter to close one door before another opens. Others believe she might be preparing to create distance from the controversy entirely, protecting her brand even if it means redefining the dynamics of their marriage.
What I've heard about them as a couple is that they've been living separate lives for a very long time.
There's growing chatter about subtle cracks in the empire. Small but noticeable changes in the way Jay-Z and Beyoncé appear in public. Fewer joint interviews, a clear focus on individual projects, and carefully timed solo appearances. Their last major outing together, the red carpet for their daughter's film premiere, seemed designed to showcase unity, but online conversation quickly shifted to speculation. Viewers dissected their body language, the timing of their steps, and the moments they stood apart. For a couple that has perfected the art of image management, these small departures from their usual choreography can feel significant. If 50 Cent's documentary weaves Beyoncé into the storyline, even in passing, it could shift the entire narrative. Suddenly, the focus wouldn't just be on legal disputes or rumored family connections. It would also be about whether one of entertainment's most celebrated couples is straining under the weight of shared scandal. That kind of subplot, mixing legal drama with personal stakes, is the sort of angle that can keep a story alive for months, touching on themes the public instantly understands: love, trust, and the threat of betrayal in the spotlight.
No, this part is not alleged. Jay-Z and his team, they have been ducking and dodging, taking the
And then there's the detail that refuses to fade from the conversation: the DNA test. Rymer's push to secure it has stretched over more than a decade, slowed by court delays, procedural arguments, and jurisdictional disputes. Now, legal momentum appears to be building again. With renewed media attention and the spotlight from this upcoming documentary, saying no could become harder to defend. It's a scenario we've seen before. One court order, one judge willing to revisit the case, and suddenly the test becomes unavoidable. For Jay-Z, the stakes couldn't be higher. A result in his favor could shut the door on the issue for good and offer a rare opportunity to turn the narrative his way. But if the outcome is different, the consequences would be immediate. Every denial, every procedural delay, every legal motion from the past decade could be reinterpreted as part of a cover-up. That wouldn't just affect his personal life. It would threaten business partnerships, brand deals, and the cultural position he's spent decades building. One test could answer the questions once and for all. But the real question is Jay-Z prepared to take that gamble?
I have no felonies. I'm not crazy or none of that. It's like, I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts. And seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything. So, I don't want to see him go down for something that you could have just got taken care of. That's it.
Which brings us to the question now hanging over everything. If the truth comes out, will it mark the fall of an icon or the start of a reckoning for the entire industry? Could this be the moment that forces not just Jay-Z, but hip-hop's highest ranks to face a past they've kept hidden? We want to hear your take. Is Jay-Z shielding himself from falsehoods or avoiding truths he doesn't want revealed? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'll be reading every one. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, in this business, nothing stays hidden forever. All from Celeb Live.